Hello and welcome to the Irish Mammy channel. Today we're doing a harvesting video. As you can see from all the greenery behind me, it's high time I got some harvesting done. And while I have been in picking out bits and pieces for using fresh and straight away, a lot of the stuff is getting a little bit too overgrown and really needs to be harvested and preserved in some form or another. And I've been putting this day off because we've had such hot weather. It's actually quite difficult to work in the Polytunnel when it's so hot. But today we had a big cool down from yesterday. 21 degrees Celsius yesterday, max of 14 today. So quite a bit of a difference. Lots of wind, lots of rain. So a perfect day to work in the Polytunnel because it's that much cooler. I'm kind of running warm these days anyway, so it's nice to get into the cooler weather. Just for a day or two will be plenty. We'll get back to the warm weather hopefully after another day or two. So as you can see, these polytunnels as well, I mean some polytunnels you can roll up the sides but not these ones. I'd have preferred if we had ones that you could roll up the sides, but anyway, beggars can't be choosers. I'm glad to get the polytunnel that I have. So I'm going to do a quick run through of the beds I'm going to harvest. I'm not even promising I'll get it all done today, but you'll see it all in one clip on the video. I'll go through each bed and what I'm going to harvest, and then I'll just get started. So one of the first beds that I'm going to be harvesting some of, I'm not harvesting this whole bed yet, is my early potatoes. They're well ready for harvesting now, and I have been, you'll see some plants missing over there. I have been harvesting some. You can see I have my crates ready here. Now I might have too many crates, but they'll be handy to have here all over the summer as well. I also have my feed for my tomatoes. I might just give you a good look at this handy dandy machine. So if you have quite a lot of plants to feed, and I use this for flowers as well, this is very handy to machine to have. I'm going to call it a machine. So you just connect the hose to it and it lifts a certain amount of your concentrated feed, and you're just basically watering them, but it's lifting up the feed as well. And when I actually go to do it, I'll show you how it works better. So that might cost about 40 or 50 euros, but it's actually well worth it. I bring it round and I'll use it on flowers, like I said already. Pots and containers, you know, for annuals that I might have at the house, as well as my tomatoes and any fruiting and flowering plants. Actually, you could also use it with the different type of feed for any of your high nitrogen plants if they needed a liquid feed. I rarely feed plants that need high nitrogen with liquid feed though. I usually find there's enough in the compost for them, but if you had to do that, it would be versatile for that use as well. The next bed here is my cauliflower. Quite a few cauliflowers ready for harvest, if not all. I do honestly think all of these plants are ready for harvest. So I think that would equate to 12 plants. I also might harvest one of these cabbage and see how it turns out. The heads do seem to be firming up on them. There's a lovely slug that I'd love to get his hands on them. Yeah, that's definitely a nice firm head on that one. And I think I explained in a different video, when these do firm up, the heads will start to bust fairly quickly because they're growing so fast in here. So I'll take at least one cabbage plant and see how I get on. I have loads of early carrots in here. I really want to get some of them out. I'm probably harvesting half the bed today. The chickens are going to have an absolute feast with all the extra greenery that I'll have to feed them. So they'll be feeding for the chickens for the next few days as well. Next bed is my garlic. I really need to get this out. I see it's actually falling over, which I've never seen garlic do before. So I don't know what that's a sign of, whether it's a good sign or a bad sign. I mean, this whole bed looks woeful, to be honest. There's weeds and everything. But once I get the garlic out and get it weeded and get it planted up with something else, it will be fine. And round on the other side now, I also have shallots that I think are pretty much ready for harvest. I'll pull a few of those and test them, but I'm pretty sure they're ready. You can get a close-up of a bunch there. They certainly look like they're middling ready. And there's another bunch there. So they're kind of hidden in between my potatoes, my surprise potatoes. And they are all on, there are 2 rows on both sides of the bed here, but you can't really see them until you look up close. This is the broccoli, Calabrese broccoli. I did show this in my tour, I think, which was the last video I put up. Most of these are harvested. I see some side shoots starting to come, I think. Yeah, that's a side shoot there. So the side shoots are just starting to produce now. I had still 3 or 4 heads to harvest, which I did come along and take them because they were getting too big. And they're blanched and in the freezer. I see one head left. No, 2. Another one in behind it. And I'm happy to let them go for another day or 2. They're not just quite big enough yet. Oh, my sprouting broccoli. I haven't got to it in, I'd say 5 or 6 days it started to flower. So the plan for this bed is to harvest even the flowered ones. They'll go to the chickens. They'll love them. And then take any that's good to use for cooking as well. I have some lovely green peppers here, but I'm not going to harvest those just yet. I like to wait till they ripen. And a volunteer tomato stuck at the front here as well. But the peppers have really come on so much, even in the last week or 2 with the heat that we've had. As has the sweet corn on the end. And I just ignore this, please. This is my flower display. These are the sprouting broccoli that are sprouting too early, so I'm just going to pull them out. But I have planted at the front of the bed here the plants that I will be harvesting from, hopefully next March, April, May time. So this is the sweet corn. It's actually grown. I could not believe how much it's grown in about 3 days. It's really, really shot up, and I'd say it's grown 2 feet in 3 days. Now obviously that's not near ready for harvest yet. But it just shows the growth rate there has been when we did have the lovely warm weather. And you can see lots of flowers hidden in there from my squash. I can't remember, is this the Hunter? I'm trying to find the label. Buttercup squash. Hiding in there. Some nice big yellow blooms. Oh, and a fruit just starting there as well, I see. So that's the quick tour of the beds, and I'm just going to get on with it. Like I said, we're evening time now, so I'm not even going to get all of this done. It'll be done over the next few days and all in one video. So the plan is to just use these crates to harvest into and use one of them for all the greenery that will go to the chickens. Now, I know some greenery, it could be cooked cauliflower greens. There's nothing wrong with cooking up cauliflower greens, but I just wouldn't have the space in my freezer for all these greens at the minute. And I'd rather turn them into eggs, to be honest, from my chickens. And like I said, all the greenery that I'll be harvesting will feed them for several days. Well, that's the harvesting done for the night. Bit of a hot mess now, covered in muck everywhere as well. But I got more done today than I thought I would, and I'm going to call it quits at that. I've left myself some very heavy crates which I won't be lifting, so I'm going to go around each crate and show you the harvest I've got. So I have one big head of cabbage here sitting inside the door waiting to be lifted. I only harvested one head of Savoy cabbage. I figured it was enough to keep us going for probably a week, honestly. It's huge, and I just hope I can get to the rest of them before they burst. And as I explained in previous videos, I didn't expect to get them at this time of year and to be harvesting Savoy cabbage at this time of year. I would have preferred that it hold out till winter when it doesn't grow as fast and I don't need to use it as quickly. But however, it is what it is, and I have it now. I'm going to harvest it. So the next one I have down here is cauliflower. Like I said, all these crates are too heavy for me to lift at the minute, so I'll have to get the heavy muscles to come and bring it with them. 7 nice heads of cauliflower there. There's still a few plants there that actually, the ones at the back didn't seem to be producing near as well, and I'm not sure if there's a reason for that. Now look, this whole polytunnel looks like a hot mess from all my harvesting, and I just don't have the energy to clean it up at the minute, so that'll be tomorrow's work. But definitely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants there still not harvested. And that's a good thing that they're not all coming at the one time. And I think there may be one there that might not produce at all, but we'll see. Time will tell on that. So next I moved to my middle beds, where I had beetroot interplanted with onions, overwintered onions. So this is my crate of yellow beets. Quite a haul there, if I do say so myself. I'm very happy with that, and some of them are absolutely huge and maybe too big. There's one there in particular, that one, my lovely garden fingers. It may be slightly woody in the centre, but the rest of them should all be fine. I had some red beets or purple beets. I think they were Detroit too, if I recall correctly. And now you see the onions, very poor harvest of onions, and as I said from day one, I wasn't expecting a huge harvest from my onions. They were only to deter pests. So any sort of harvest is a bonus. So a nice, for really only 2 rows of red beets, I got a nice little harvest there. I'm quite happy with that. And that's just the first harvest. I will be sowing more beetroot here to harvest in the autumn. This is a crate of the beet greens, and honestly I stopped even saving the greens at one point because I just had far too many. So I have the beet greens, I have a crate, there is a crate under there, a crate of cauliflower greens, another mound of cauliflower greens there. Next I went down to my carrots. and I had a great harvest from my carrots. I haven't harvested them all. I'd roughly say I've harvested maybe half of the bed, and these are the early Nantes carrots. And even from the last time I spoke about these, they have come on so much and grown quite big. So this is my crate of carrots. That's a huge haul of carrots for only half the bed, and I'm going to leave the other half for another day. And honestly, I quickly realised I need help to harvest the carrots. So I get the little helpers up someday to help me harvest the rest. And I proceeded to move, so some of the beets are in my wheelbarrow, beet greens, and all the carrot tops as well are in the wheelbarrow. And I'll probably honestly let them wilt down in the wheelbarrow and bring them home to the chickens in a day or two. And I also then, my final harvest was my garlic. I'm very impressed with my garlic this year. And I have to say I was in two minds about how it was doing. Well, you know, as you know, garlic grows underneath the ground, so it's nearly always a surprise how big it is. But I hadn't fertilised this apart from the first time when I planted it. And usually I would feed twice more with blood, fish and bone, but this year it did get topped up with compost. That's the only extra feeding it got. And I was kind of hoping that would do it. And I had no excuse. My bucket of blood, fish and bone was only over there. I just didn't get round to it. But these are huge heads of garlic. I'm very impressed with them. So they're going to lie there on the bed to dry out a little bit so that they can be cleaned up and the tops taken off them. So garlic, just like onions, is best left with their tops and roots still attached to take in more energy. There is still energy remaining in the few leaves and roots that are on the plant. So we always let onions and garlic dry out completely before removing the tops and the roots, and that helps them to store longer as well. So obviously I have roughly 50 heads of garlic here. I might use one bulb a week. Sometimes I'll use more, sometimes I'll use less. So on average, this is probably a good amount for me for the year. So it won't fully store for exactly a year. So we're at the end of June now. By the end of June next year, this garlic will have sprouted. But what I can do is come December, January time, whatever I have remaining can go to the freezer, and it'll store in the freezer very well. Possibly the fridge would be a good spot for it too, but I have seen garlic sprouting in the fridge as well, to be honest. So what I tend to do is break it up into cloves and store it in the freezer, and you can use it just as good from the freezer. And that prevents it sprouting. I will take out the largest bulbs, so 3 to 4 of the largest bulbs I will take out of this to use as my seed garlic for this winter. Roughly in about October I should be planting my garlic out again. So I will take the seed garlic from my crop that I've harvested today. So that's the harvest for today. I won't get to the shallots and the broccoli, but honestly I didn't think I'd get as far as I actually did today, and I'm going to have to get the heavy lifters in to get it to the car. But at the same time I'm very pleased with my harvest for the day. The problem will be now getting these beds turned around and replanted now with more stuff. And I do have a full plan done out for what goes in next. But I just have to get round to actually planting it in the ground now. And as time goes on, the work's getting harder and harder in the polytunnel for me. So it's looking like the help will have to be called in at this stage. But with about 7 weeks to go now till baby arrives, I don't mind giving in at this stage to getting in the help. And that might be small helpers. It could also be a friend of mine who has offered to help in the polytunnel in the summer. We'll see how that goes. The kids like to help out a wee bit, but hard labour doesn't appeal to them very much, and I can't blame them, and I wouldn't force them to do it either. I don't want to turn them off the garden either. So that's it for the video today. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope I might have inspired somebody to start growing their own. There's nothing like, and I say this probably in every video, nothing like the taste of what you grow yourself. And I can attest to these carrots being the sweetest carrots I've ever eaten. And there's great satisfaction out of using this produce now over the next weeks, months, some of it. I mean, my cauliflower will be blanched and frozen. Some will be used fresh, of course, and I have some at home to use as well. There'll be succession sowing now, so there should be more cauliflower coming in about 12, 16 weeks. And I hope to also have another crop in for overwinter. Now, that might be ambitious for me this year, but the potential is that the cauliflower that's blanched and frozen now won't actually get used until maybe when the hungry gap hits, which is kind of March, April, May-ish time. So it'll be good to know that I have that stored away in the freezer. I have already a load of broccoli in the freezer as it is. And it's going to be hard for me to gauge this year because I should be able to grow so much through the winter compared to last year, depending if I have success or not. I didn't have great success last year. So possibly I will have far too much food between what I'm able to grow over the winter and what I've stored and preserved otherwise, freezers and dried, canned, all the different methods that I do use. So that'll be a learning curve for me this year. But still, it's good to know I have it. Good to know I should not have any need to buy vegetables in the shop, hopefully over the next 12 months. And that's what it's all about, aiming for complete self-sufficiency. Obviously I have to buy fruit. While I am trying to grow fruit, I could never grow enough fruit to keep the family fed and supplied with fruit. So I'm very happy with what I've managed and achieved so far this year, and I'm looking forward to many more harvests to come. Hopefully it's your inspiration to just start. I didn't start in this polytunnel growing a huge amount of food. I started in a very small shared greenhouse and one 7 metre by 1 metre raised bed. That's where I started off and got bitten by the bug, and that was after many failed attempts of growing my own food at home in various different ways. So it is achievable. It takes a few years to get there. You might have many failures, but you'll get there in the end. Thank you very much for watching if you've made it this far. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button down below and subscribe as well if you could. I'm really struggling to get to the 1,000 subscribers. It has hit stagnant despite fairly good views on my video. So if you're one of those viewers who doesn't interact at all with my video but likes to watch it, I do want to appeal to you to hit the thumbs up especially, and to press the subscribe button. Absolutely free, doesn't cost anything to subscribe to a YouTube channel, and it just means you'll get notified every time I put up a video. But it also means I could have the potential to get monetized down the line. So I would certainly appreciate your help in that. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.